Morning on this beautiful Friday, sunny, not a wind morning. I think we've got about 24, 25 degrees. I know that in Northern Europe the temperature is probably also in summer-like things, but here, really love it. I should have updated on my fasting yesterday, but I got some really good news. I want to share with you guys also, but I will be in a later video, more specific details about it anyway. But I stopped my fasting after 54 hours, and I did so because I was not able to obtain any information that contradicted this new information I had, that fasting is good, but fasting is bad once you start eating again in terms of the testosterone level. Obviously, if you're a bodybuilder, if you're a healthy person, you don't have issues with a hormone-driven cancer, then I suppose that's just fantastic news. You don't need to do a lot of injections to get your testosterone up if you are up in the age a little bit. You can just do a little prolonged fasting and then start eating again. You'll get your testosterone. But as a person with prostate cancer, that's detrimental to what I really want to do, I think. I've had somebody commenting, and I think that's a very valid comment, but I still need to take a look at it, so I couldn't proceed with my fasting. I need time to research. And that is that the damage that testosterone might make to be by being increased starting eating again after prolonged fasting is less than the benefit I might have from doing the fasting. And there might be some good points to that. But I think I made the right choice because it also came in conjunction with another problem I have. Back in the days, 3-4 years ago, when I started having some issues which I thought might be, kunไม่ตู้เลสุนัขไหม Wait, I got a little problem with my dog here. She's keep venturing in close to my cheese. And she's blind. She got hit by a car last year, hit and run, and lost both her eyes. She survived. She was in a bad shape though for a few days, and we didn't know whether she would survive or not. But yeah, she's been running around for 1.5 years without any eyes at all, and she's learning. But she's bumping into my tripod if she's walking blindly around. Anyway, the second thing that back in them days, 3-4 years ago, when I realized that I had a problem, one of the reasons why I realized that was because I started having fairly frequently some flare-ups of herpes. And back then it really had me worried because I thought there was something sexually related, but it turns out later that there's something innate, dormant, that might have inherited from your mom, or by other means have got it, and if you are in the right condition for it, it will flare up. And I've always been wondering why that is. And so I had a period of time where I could have it maybe every 3 months, or maybe every 2 months, and then it could be gone for like 6 months, and then it come back again. And that's when I started having with these bladder infections and urethra infections and prostatitis, and I started thinking that something must be more wrong than just, and that's why I got the PSA test as mentioned in the other videos. Anyway, so I started my own protocols, and I kind of have it all under control, and now I haven't had that issue for, I don't know, 7-8 months. Nothing at all. But then I got a small flare up again, and I was like, what is going on? And I realized, because back in the days I thought it was because I had sex with my wife, and that caused it. Not that she was giving it to me, or me to her, but because some irritation or maybe some bacteria or something triggered it. But retrospectively, as I'm thinking now, no, I think it's related to testosterone. I think as my testosterone is fluctuating, then it has an impact, which I cannot say specifically how, but that makes it flare up, because that correlates very well when I've had intimate fun with my wife, because I have that when the drive is there, and I don't have it when the drive is not, and the drive is connected to testosterone. So that's anyway my theory. So I think that 54 hours of fasting ended up giving me a flare on testosterone. But I also have another issue which could also be part of the problem, and that's I've taken these 10,000 milligrams, so 10 gram of vitamin C, of my own so-called Lipsomil vitamin C. But as I've mentioned in other videos, I cannot find any Lipsomil in my microscope. It is a very cheap microscope, so I was also wondering if it was just because I can't see it on the microscope. But I have been researching a little bit further into that, and the odds that I have liposomes in my vitamin C mixture is probably down to 0. I kind of figured out what might be the reason, but I am contradicting Thomas Levy if I'm saying I found the reason, because that means I also are indicating that I can make liposomes at home. But I think one of the reasons why I have a problem is because you're not supposed to introduce too much oxygen to the mixture, because that is detrimental to the vitamin C or to the liposomes. And running my mixture proudly for 4 minutes in my NutriBullet is probably a little too violent for it. So I'm looking forward to get my granulates, which has finally been shipped from Hong Kong now. I've seen it's been tracking on the computer, and then I'll try to make it with a less powerful blender. But the problem with that is that if you're making liposomes, you're absorbing 80% of it, as far as I understand, or it's 80 and 90% is bioavailable in the cells. But if it is not liposomes, then it's just technically normal vitamin C. And normal vitamin C has a very limited uptake in the body, simply because it has to go through the small intestines and it has to be transported out there, and there's just limited resource to bring it to the cells, and that's very technical. But anyway, nonetheless, it means that I have to secrete quite a lot of vitamin C, because I'm doing very high doses. And that has maybe also an impact on triggering my herpes. But what I can say for sure is that it has impacted my prostate, because I'm not peeing at the same rate as before, so it's inflamed for sure. And I also feel when I'm peeing that there is an inflammation. It is not very much. It's not so much that I have to run to the toilet 5 times a night anymore, but for 4 or 5 days that was the case. Now we're down to 1 or 2 times. So the Lipsomil vitamin C has also been dropped until I will get what I get from Hong Kong. So that's the status right now. The good news part is, and I will film the progress with that, but I have to think about these next few days how I'm gonna attack it. As I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I've been working with some of Joe Dispenza's work, and I've got access to courses from him. I haven't looked further into it in in terms of what I've got access to, but I cannot do anything about it right as is right now, because I've just got too much work on my desk. So I've got to clear that work, and once that work is done, then I will start researching or taking a look into these courses, and then I will do these courses. It's super interesting. I think, if I haven't mentioned it before, if you don't know Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, those are 2 guys that I highly recommend that you look into. They've got some really interesting information. But basically, it is healing by meditation, and I thoroughly believe that is right. I think I started this channel by saying also that your supplements is just a way to put your body at a higher speed to healing, but the path to healing is by taking care of your mind and your health in general. So that's not supplements that does it. It's just what helps you promote it further. So the mind is really the big player. Obviously it is, because we can think ourselves sick. We've spoken about that before. If you can think yourself sick, obviously you can also think yourself healthy. But what he's doing and what I'm watching right now in the work I'm doing with him currently, wow, that's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And what's really interesting is that opposed to most of things within this field of healing, he's documented scientifically. So there are data supporting all the anecdotes, and there is a lot of anecdotes and there's a lot of data. But I'll share more about that when I obtain more information about specifically what I'm gonna do. That's probably gonna happen next week. Until next time, as always, stay happy and healthy.